What up, YouTube? This is going to be, I guess, my progress so far on the Gil Hibben, the reprofile of the edge here. So far, it's in the beginning stages there. I took quite a bit of metal off the edge. I wanted to, originally I wanted to keep the finish on here, but during the grinding, in order to get the actual reprofile of the edge to go up, and I ended up taking a little bit more metal than I originally intended, just to go ahead and to get it to actually be a thinner profile down by the edge there. So it kind of left it kind of funky with about 3/4 of an inch of shiny metal and then that finish. So I just went ahead and I have a buffing wheel. It's kind of coarse. It's like the closest thing I could or the closest thing I think would resemble it is like a Scotch-Brite type of like dishwash sponge, you know, the green side of it that's kind of coarse like that. Well, it's a wheel that's similar to that. So I went ahead and took the end, most of it off of that on the blade. As you can see, there's still some left over on the handle. As you can see there, it's got kind of like a satin finish now, and you can still see grind lines like through here. And so as I go along, I'll probably I've got a couple things in mind as far as to kind of get the grind lines out there, or I don't know if maybe I'm going to do maybe a forced patina on it towards the end to darken it back up. I'm not sure. I'd like to do some like acid etching, kind of what Tough Thumbs likes to call that acid etch steampunk kind of finish, that dark finish to it. But this is so big, and it would take a lot of that acid to kind of, it'd be a little complicated to do it with this. But who knows, I may get adventurous. I also started to come up with a modified handle shape for this. As you can see, I just put blue tape over the existing handle and kind of drew out a basic handle shape there. I came up with this handle shape. It's a modified version of the Manix XL handle, believe it or not. What I went ahead and did is I took my Manix XL and laid it on top of here after I put the blue tape on and did a rough outline of it. And then what I did is I kind of stretched out some of the lines to kind of fit the handle, the length of the handle, because as you can see, you know, this handle's pretty big. We eliminate this big chunk of metal here for a choil, and then the blue tape used to come up here. This is actually gonna curve up. Here, let me see. This is actually gonna do one of these numbers here, and I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's darken it up a little bit. That way we can get a good idea of what I'm talking about. Kind of something along the lines of there. Not that exaggerated, probably mellowed out, because basically once this becomes a finger choil, you see how your thumb is right there? That way you can really get down in there and it'll be more comfortable. So you can see how where my finger's going to be. Middle finger, ring finger, and then back here. And then as I move it back to here, there I go, ring finger, or pointer finger, ring finger, and back there. So I think it should be pretty comfortable. Taking off there. Now I'm taking quite a bit of the handle steel off, so this is going to be way heavy in the front. But given what I have to work with, I mean, the only other way to balance this out would be to take a it would actually to redesign, to cut this whole thing up and make a whole new knife out of it, and I'm not going to do that. I kind of like the shape, kind of old, beat up and whatnot. So I'm hoping that I'm going to do the rough cuts in here and sand, and I'll probably modify this as I go along. I'll probably cut probably 1/8 of an inch shy of this line to give me some wiggle room as far as when I actually hold it to see how exactly it's going to fit my hand. Because you got to remember too, guys, this is a quarter of an inch thick piece of blade stock, that 1090 carbon steel there. So when this handle, it has to be on the narrow side, because it's going to be pretty. You're going to think about it. You got the 1/4 inch blade stock, and then you're going to have some G10 scales on there. I may just end up doing some thin peel ply and just cut it to the shape and not go into any kind of design or anything, just because if I use the thicker G10, by the time I'm done with this, it could be pretty, pretty hefty. I mean, here, this is some micarta right there. So here, let's just, give me a second. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, you can't. This is my little G10 design there. Not supposed to see that. It's top secret stuff. But anyway, just to give you an idea. So actually, it's not that thick or that bad. So maybe that could be an option. And actually, with those around here right now, me just gripping it, it does feel rather comfy. So maybe I will go ahead and maybe I will stick with the peel ply, some peel ply G10, and add liners along with that to give it some thickness. I'm not sure yet. This is my first time around as far as doing something like this, so it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. It'll be my first time messing with some G10 scale. Well, not my first time. I've been playing around with this micarta and been coming up with some of my own design. See that right there? That's the Anyway pattern, dude. Patented. No one else has done this. First time I ever see that right here. So don't bite it. If I see it anywhere else, I'm going to know where I got it from, because this is old school stuff. You guys don't know about that. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Just an update. The video that I posted prior to this, initially stating what I was going to do, was actually filmed earlier this night. And I got onto this, and I probably spent about a good hour and a half getting it to this point here. And believe it or not, I actually have, and here again, I try to make these videos short, but when I'm coming to something like this, I think it deserves to be a little longer. Even though it's just a rough edge, it still cuts paper. So I've kind of gotten it, pretty darn close to where I want it as far as the edge goes. It's just going to be going through some really some fine grit sandpaper, just fine grit belt to kind of get the grind higher and kind of finalize it, and just keep working my way. Maybe I'm not going to probably take too much more of the steel off of this top here. But I will go over again. There's it still needs a little bit of work, but this is 2 hours into it, and as you can see, it's totally it's kind of hard to tell, man. I should have done a profile. Look at that right there. It used to be about this thick right here, almost all the way down to here. So I took I'd say I probably took about a few millimeters, at least 1.5 millimeters from the thickness from here down, and kind of, as you can see, the profile. And it's still, as you can see, it's still a thick, hefty blade, but I went ahead and already cut into a 2x4, and it cut through like a bat out of hell so far. So it cuts a lot better than it did before. So far so good. I may go ahead and just go ahead and hit it up rough again, and boom, and take another millimeter, bring the grind up higher. Right now, the grind, as you can see, the buffing wheel marks there, kind of makes it really. I mean, you can't even tell where the grind mark is. As far as how high I went, probably I'd say right about there, 3/4 of an inch is where I was taking off metal there. And see how that buffer wheel kind of leaves lines in there, so I got to figure out a way to kind of get that out of there. I think, you know, I mean, if I do a force patina, you won't see that, but I'm thinking of a way, maybe kind of finding a way to buff that out or whatever. I don't want a shiny finish on it. I don't think so. I got to figure something out. You know, I wish there was a way, or I knew of the material they used to coat it, some thick black coating on there, because I'd like to recoat it again. That would be cool, and just keep it black like it was. So I'm not sure. If you guys have any information on that stuff, that maybe just you know, post it below. That'd be pretty cool. So anyway, video's getting about 11 minutes now. I'm gonna let you guys go, but that's stage 2, and maybe I'll get into cutting away from the handle and get some handle shape going tomorrow. So, all right, thanks for tuning in. Peace.